Hey everybody, I am back, and little man arrived May 1st, 9:30 a.m. Very awesome birth experience. Super happy to have gotten the VBAC that I wanted, and he's over there sleeping. If you hear the TV in the background, it's so that it's not super quiet. Hopefully he stays asleep. I hope he stays asleep, but I'll share a little clip of him here. Alright, so today we're going to be doing the pattern that just got released from Lowland Kids. This is the reversible swimwear. They have a top and bottom. This is super cute. I've already made one the day it released for my daughter. I was super excited to do that. It's really simple. There are a few quirks to it, and a lot of people are getting caught up on the invisible stitch, hand stitch, and so I'm going to show you guys how to do that. It's called a ladder stitch, and I actually just learned how to do it yesterday, so it's super simple, and I'll show you guys how to do that. And let's get started. Okay, you need the bottom piece here, which is one pattern piece, and I did the high waist version. You'll cut two of these, one in each fabric, and then this is the front bodice, and I'm doing the bikini version, and so I just fold the piece here so I don't have to cut more than one pattern piece out. You'll need the bikini back piece, so make sure you do the bikini pieces, and so that top you're going to cut two on the fold, one in each fabric. The back you're going to cut two in each fabric, so that's 4 pieces total. Alright, so this is what I got here. I got my 2 back pieces, 1 in each fabric, my 2 front pieces, 1 in each fabric, and then you're going to cut two mirrored images of the one fabric and the other fabric. So it's 4 for the back total. So it's 8 total pieces that you'll need for this. Alright, so you saw all the pattern pieces, you saw all the pieces that I cut out, so it's 8 pieces total. You need 2 bottoms, you need 2 of the back pieces in one fabric and 2 of the back pieces in one fabric, and you need 2 of the front piece, one front piece in each fabric. Alright, so we're going to do the bottoms first because they're super simple. So, first thing we're going to do is, the pattern recommends, and I agree, that you want to go ahead and notch these up just like we do kind of quartering. And I'm going to go ahead and do the front and the back. Just going to use scissors. And I'm going to notch the front piece here and the back piece. And then if you want to like pin the back piece, if you can't tell the back from the front, make sure that you denote something the back. The back's bigger for the booty, as you can see. So if you can not tell the difference, make sure you denote that. But I like to go ahead and just quarter them because you're going to use the side seams and you're going to use these little points that you're making. This is like the super cute pattern. And as far as measurements go, I took my daughter's measurements, and I mean, she's pretty much spot on 3T, and this pattern fit perfectly, so. Alright, and so then you're going to put these right sides together, and I am just using like nylon spandex swimwear. I think I got this last year. I've been hoarding it from boho fabric, so. Alright, you're going to put them right sides together like this. So the right sides together, and then you're going to sew this leg seam right here. This pattern has no elastic, which is awesome. You can put elastic here if you want to. You just sandwich it in and baste it here. But I'm not going to use elastic, and it held up pretty well when my daughter wore it, so I'm not going to use it. So that's how you do that. And then so you're going to serge right here, 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I did the crotch curves here, or it's not the crotch curve, it's the leg. And so then you're going to flip it right side out. So you just flip it. If you need to push this part out, you can. You can do this too, and it'll pop out like that. So then you've got it right sides out. Sometimes easier just to kind of do this. Alright, so then what you're going to do is, this is the back piece here. You're going to open that up like this. This is that front piece. Open it up like this. And you're just going to sew those seams together here. So you're just going to put them on top of each other like this. And then same thing on this side, and you're going to sew these seams down here. And then I'll come right back and show you what to do next, which is the kind of difficult part, because it looks like it's not going to work, but it ends up working. So that's the part that a lot of people need a visual on. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'll show you guys the next part. All right, so now we have it like this. So you have the black part here, and you have the other part here. And so then you're going to determine which is the back. And so how I determine that is holding the piece up, and the one that has the most junk in the trunk is the back. And as you can see, this side, it doesn't have that big, like, you know, scoop. So this is going to be the back here. So I know I need to match up. I'll flip it this way. We're going to put the back down. I need to match up to this black piece here. It's kind of hard to tell, but this part. So I'm opening this part up. So this part is the part that's down. This is the right side here. And then I'm going to grab this right side here and put them together. And I'm matching up that notch part that I made. And then you can use clips, you can use pins. I'm going to use pins because that's what I have handy beside me. And then what you're going to do, you're going to try to go over here to the side seam. So as you can see, I put those together, and then I'm going to go over to the side seam. This is when it gets weird, because you're going to have to pull it through this leg hole here once you get past this side seam. And that's when it starts feeling really weird. And I do like to nest my seams on the side here. So that means one of them is going to go this way, and one of them is going to go this way. And so then I just find that makes that matching up that seam easiest. And so then I'm going to pin right there. Alright, so then we're going to go ahead and pull this fabric through the leg hole to get to that middle notch, the front middle notch that I made. So this is where it looks super weird, but like I said, you'll get it because you'll get back to the back part. So then I'm matching up that notch to the front notch. And then we just have one more side seam here. And, and so I'm going to keep pulling it through. This is when it looks weird. Keep pulling it through to that last side seam here. And you know you got it right when the side seams, you're still putting them right sides together, and you have the side seam. And then you can pull this back through, and that's that last notch that we did, or the first notch we did, sorry. Okay. Alright. Okay. And so then I'm going to start back, and like I said, it all just comes through this leg hole on the side here. Just with the pins, be super careful. And then you're going to start, I'm going to start on the side here. It just says to leave a like 3.5 inch, I think, hole in the back. You can use however much you need to use. I'm going to leave about a 2-inch gap in the middle. So that's what we're going to do the ladder stitch with, hand stitch that up. You can top stitch this, but I've heard a lot of people say that it makes it kind of gape a little bit in the back, and I have trouble wondering how it's going to stretch. Even using a stretch stitch, I'm just going to go ahead and do it like the pattern says and not top stitch, and then show you guys how to do that ladder stitch. But you can top stitch. I think if you could do like a zigzag, it might work okay, but make sure you're considering a thread choice in your bobbin color choice, because you are using 2 different types of fabric, and the thread needs to be appropriate for both of those. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go over here and serge around this waistband, and I'll bring you guys with me to show you guys what it looks like. All right, so make sure I've got my back part here. Doesn't really matter where you leave the notch, but if you're going to put a tag in the back, you could probably just do the back part here. So I'm going to start over here. I'm not going to remove that pin because I'm not starting on that pin. So once I get it going underneath the knife, that's when I'll start pulling. So you're just making sure, don't pull your fabric too much, or this will stretch out. Alright, remove your pins as you go. And like I said, you're just going around this circle that you've created, making sure your seams are still matching up. Sometimes it's a little impossible. and steady because this fabric is slippery. Run that last side seam here. Eyeball itches. All right. All right, we're almost back to where we started, and you have to leave a hole, so don't forget that. Don't close it. All right, remove that pin. All right, and then what I find easiest, and so that's kind of an inch, but oh well. It'll still work because this fabric's super stretchy. So I left 2 tails, and to make sure that when I do my flip this out, the seam doesn't unravel, I'm going to go ahead and tuck each tail in with my knit picker here. You can find this at waywalk.com. It's called a knit picker. I think it's like $1. Grab a couple because the handle has been known to break off. So, all right. I think little man's starting to wake up. May have to feed him momentarily. All right, just cut those. All right, so then that's the hole right there. And what you're gonna do is just flip this whole suit through that hole. And since we tucked those tails, it's not gonna unravel. And so there we go. Hold on 1 second. I like to make sure that the seam is as high as it'll go. Just like that. And then you'll just kind of fiddle with it till you get exactly how you want it to look. Because you do have it's fully lined, so because it's fully reversible. And that's what they look like. And then I will show you guys how to do this. So you'll need a needle and thread. So let me go grab that and I'll be right back. All right, so I have a needle and thread. I'm gonna thread my needle here. I'm gonna show you guys how I do it. Match the ends up here and hold them. And this is what I do. Grab your needle. You're going to put your thread here on this side of the needle. Wrap it around a few times. And then grab it with your fingernail and pull it off. Pull it all the way down. And it knots it for you, which is pretty cool. And then I like to go ahead and just clip this a little bit smaller. The end, don't clip it close to the knot, like super close, but I like to go ahead and clip the ends just a little bit, just to make sure that it's not too crazy. All right, so then you're gonna grab where that hole is here, you're gonna fold the seam allowance in, and then you're gonna start, let's see here, I'm using a contrast thread here so that you can see it hopefully better on this black. All right, so grab your needle. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so there is the opening. So on the end opening, here, where it starts, let's make sure okay. You're gonna put this part in the opposite side because you're gonna hide that knot in the middle, okay? So then you're going to go, I'm going to flip it around here because it's easier to do it like this. So hold on and make sure that seam allowance is still good, that you got it folded. And then you're going to immediately go across to the black side, straight across, and go down and out, grabbing a little bit of fabric. Pull it. Then you're going to go straight across again to the other side, which is this geometric print. Same thing. Grab a little bit of fabric. All right, and then you're gonna do the same thing, and you're gonna go across to the black fabric, right immediately across. And you just keep doing this. And that thread hides. Don't pull it too tight. Okay. Let me see if I can get you guys a better view here. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold it and keep going, and but it's pretty much exactly the same thing I just did. So let me grab this, and don't pull your thread too tight, okay? All right, I'm on the black side. Just make sure you pay attention to which side you're doing here. All right, then cut across to this black side. And as you can see, I'm just, oops, it's not. So I'm on the black side here. Pull it. Then I'm going to go back to the geometric side here. I'm sorry, it's not focusing. This fabric, I think, has it not focusing that well. So I'm on the geometric side. And let me see. We're almost done. So I'm going to go back to the black side here, straight across, and then grab some fabric on the black side. Alright, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back in to this side here. And then I'm going to grab a little bit more on this black side here. And then before I pull this loop completely, this loop right here, I'm going to put my needle through it a few times. Make sure it doesn't twist. If it twists and your thread pops out, try it again. Okay, I'm going to go through it twice and pull it. So that'll knot that there. And then just to hide the stitch in, or the tail, you'll go down. Make sure it's not going through the other side. Go down through your fabric, pop it out, pull it through. Again, make sure it's not on the other side. And then just cut this tail. And that's how that tail will end up in the inside. And then you just, oops, sorry. Then you just cut the, I just realized that you guys didn't see that. I basically just pulled this down. Oops. I put this needle down through here, through this one side of the fabric, popped it out, and then I'm just going to cut it off here. Be careful not to cut your fabric. And then that is sewn, and that tail will go inside, and you can't see anything. So that's how you do the invisible stitch. Now you can't see anything. The stitching is completely gone. I mean, there's a tiny tail here that's the part that I didn't cut off. The tiny tail, so just be careful if you're going to snip that. Be careful not to snip your fabric. And that's what it looks like. So that's a tiny knot. But otherwise, you can't really see anything. That's just a piece of fabric, piece of thread. That's how it is, and it's perfect. Alright, so we've done with the bottoms, so let's go to the top. For the top, we're going to use this geometric print first. I'm going to move these out of the bottom. This was the bottoms though. They're super cute. Super cute. Easy to do the stitch. Okay, so we're going to put these right sides up, right sides up. Alright, and so we're going to match up the shoulder seams here. And this part's a little weird too. So you're going to do it kind of at an angle here. So you're wanting to make sure this straight part is on this straight part. You want to match up your, that's how you know they're going the right way without having to look at the picture. Alright, same thing with this side. You're just putting these right sides together. Alright. And then you're going to sew the shoulder seams, and then we'll come back. So this is what it looks like when your shoulder seams are together. This one's kind of wonky, but we'll fix it. So what you're going to do then is open these up like this. So basically you're going to put them right sides together again. So put them right sides together. And now you're going to do the arm side curve. So this part to this part, all the way down to this part. So make sure you're matching up those shoulder seams. I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back to show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you've got those arm side serged. And then what you're going to, alright, so this is the front, these are the back. And so now what you're going to do is right sides together still. We just did the arm side. You're going to start 3 inches from the edge. It's not extremely important for it to be exact, but just about 3 inches. 3 inches from the edge, you're going to serge all the way around this top part, all the way around to the front neck, all the way around to the other top part, and then stop 3 inches from the edge here. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how I do these parts here because it was a little tricky to sew those perfectly, and so I'm going to kind of make them pointed and use my nitpicker so that I don't have to try and do this curve on my serger. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Let's go to serger. Alright, so it doesn't really matter which side you start on so long as you go all the way around. And so I'm going to start on this side. Remember to leave that 3 inch on the edge here. And if you need to use clips or pins, absolutely use them because this fabric is super slippery. So I'm going to start about right there. Alright, so here's this first tie. Just make sure your right sides are together and that your pieces are still matching up. Alright, so when I get to this point here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and serge off. I'm going to leave a tail there, so it kind of points it. My fabric kind of slipped a little bit, so that's why you could see that edge there. I'm going to leave that tail, and then I'm going to start and kind of just make this pointed here. So it's going to cut that tail off that I left. And then just make sure your points are still matching up. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So now I'm following up the sleeve here. And then I'm trying to maintain that nesting that I had going on with my seams here, which just meant I put one way, one the other. That makes that seam be extra crisp. So I'm just trying to maintain that same thing here so there's not super bulky in the sleeve. And all the while I'm just making sure my pieces are still lining up. And then I'm not stretching too much. Fabric slipping just a little bit. Alright, so we're back on this last top part here. And again, what I like to do is just point it off at the end here. And again, this fabric is slipping, so it's going to look like this right now, but this piece was actually just slipping, so it'll look better when I'm done. Alright, so then I'm going to start again on that top part there. Alright, then just making sure my edges are lined up, and again, leave that 3 inch gap on the end here, so don't go all the way to the end. Tail, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just cut these little pieces that went in with a knife there. Okay, so then your top pieces look like this, so they have a point now. I cut my tail a little bit shorter, and then I just use my nitpicker here, and I'm gonna tuck it back in. I just find that a lot easier than trying to get that curve to go in your serger, which, I mean, I accomplished it, but this seems a lot easier. There we go. It was getting stuck on that last seam there. Alright, and then just cut that off. And then we're doing the same thing on this side. I cut my tail a little bit shorter. Sandwich this in here. Poke it out right at the end. Pull the tail through. And then just cut off that little bit of excess. Careful not to cut into your seam. Alright, so then those are kind of pointed rather than round. Just found it easier. And then now what you're going to do, and then you can also, these edges that we did too, just so they don't come undone, you can do those two. So the parts where we left that 3-inch edge, I'm going to go ahead and tuck my tails there too, just so that it doesn't come unraveled. Optional. It's just a step that I find to make sure this thing looks good in the end. Oop. So on this side, he's making all sorts of noises in there. All right. Tucking that tail. All right, so now we're gonna flip this thing. All right, so if you have a point turner, absolutely use it, but I just have this laying around, a cuticle pusher. That's what I'm gonna use. And so just grab one of these ties and kind of push it in. You're gonna wanna kind of separate those two fabrics and push it in. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to it. And you're just gonna push it in itself like this. Be gentle, especially if you're using something super sharp, because you don't want to puncture your fabric. And then you just keep pushing it inside of itself here. You're going to go through the sleeve part. I just don't want to puncture my fabric. Just a little time consuming, not difficult, just time consuming to get through here. If you have a point turner, it's a lot easier, I bet. So keep pulling it, and you're going to pull this other side out, and then you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. All right, so we got one side flipped. And so as you can see, that's what the tie looks like. So it's pointed rather than rounded. All right, so we got one side flipped out, and you're doing the exact same thing with the other side that you just pulled out. Same thing, repeat. Hopefully you're an expert now, and you can flip this one super quick. There we go. So it works if you push the actual tie part into the sleeve part. It was a lot easier. Okay, so now it's super easy. So I'm gonna go over to the table and show you guys what this looks like, because it's easier to show you. So this is what it looks like now. And then you just wiggle it, finesse it a little bit to get exactly how you kind of want it to lay. All right, so now it is right sides out. This isn't gonna lay exactly how I want it, but you guys get the picture. Okay, so what you're gonna do now, so we're gonna pick a side. I'm gonna start with this side here. So I'm gonna open this part, and this is why you leave that 3-inch opening. So I'm gonna open this part here. So this is that side seam on the back here. You're gonna match this up. So open this part here, match the black with the black and the geometric with the geometric, or whatever fabric you're using, of course. So you're gonna match up the geometric and match that up, and then this up here, and you're gonna sew that, and then you're gonna do the same thing on the other side with the other side. So let's go back over to the starter. Closer look at what that looks like. This part is the front, this part is that back tie. So I just matched up. So here's the arm, right? And here's the front, and here's that back tie on the same side. And so literally what you're gonna do is pretty much put that seam together, and then just fold that geometric print out, and then fold the black part out, and then just sew that straight line, putting those together. Just be careful not to get it caught. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in under here, and then I'll move the camera. All right. So just be careful not to sew anything else in this seam. It's going to feel a little weird, especially if you didn't use too much of a 3-inch opening. All right, so so as I get closer, I'm going to go ahead and pull this black side out further. Just make sure it's matching up here. This is why that 3-inch on the edge is necessary. So this is easier to sew. I like to nest that seam there. Hold on, buddy. Alright, so I sewed that like that. And then we'll flip it out in just a minute. Alright, so same thing on the other side. So go to the other arm side that is not closed. Same thing. So you got your front here. Well, let me open it up so you can see it better. Got your front. And you got your back here. So like I said, match up those seams. You're going to open it up. Do the exact same thing. This is just the other side. And then you'll see that you just have this part open here. So you're just going to flip it in itself like this. See what I did there? I just made it right sides together. You're going to leave a gap here. I'm just going to choose this side here. I'm going to make sure that I'm trying to follow my nesting the same. Doesn't look like I nested this one, so no big deal. Just make sure that that seam's matching up. And make sure you're leaving that gap. And make sure that nothing's in your way. Make sure your ties are out of the way in there, so you're not sewing them in the seam. And then I'm just going to go all the way to this side here, that's right here. I'm just going to go to that. Alright. So leave a tail there. I promise, I just fed him. He lost his passy. Alright. Pull your tail out here. So that's secure. We don't got to worry about that one. And then now we just need to hand sew this one. So I'm going to cut this tail short. Again, I'm going to nitpick it in here, tuck it in like that. Just so when I use this hole to flip this out, it's going to be easy. So that little opening that we have is how we're going to flip this whole thing out. So just go ahead and flip it all out. So flip the whole piece through that hole. Just basically like how we did the bottoms, but this piece is just a little bit more extravagant. So just pull it on out. So then you've got your front here, your tie pieces, and then we just need to address that hole that we've got here exactly like we did the bottom piece here. It's the exact same thing. So make sure you got your seam where you want your seam to go. You're going to push this seam allowance in where you want it to go. Just make it match up. Of course, mine's being silly. All right, and then you're gonna knot your fabric, knot your thread here. Oh. Wrap it around. Do this one a little bit faster since I showed you guys slower earlier. Pull that knot down, just like that. All right, so you're gonna go in. So we can hide that knot in there. All right, so then I'm gonna flip it around. That's just how I like to do it. Make sure that seam allowance is in there good, because once it's in there, it's in there. And you don't want that to flip out on you. All right, so then I'm gonna go across to the geometric side, grab some fabric with that needle, pull, do the same thing, go across to the black fabric, straight across, grab a little bit of fabric, move that out of the way, okay. All right, and again, don't pull the needle too much. So I'm gonna go straight across to the geometric side. And then if you're having trouble seeing my stuff, I'm trying to do it as easy as possible to show you guys, but if you're having trouble seeing it, just look up how to do a ladder invisible stitch and it'll show you how to do this a little bit better. If you're still having trouble and you're like, I can't really see what you're doing, then look up a ladder stitch. And then you just keep going down until you close your seam here. All right, I'm almost done here. All right, and so when you get to the end, what you're gonna do is put it back through that side so you have that knot. So like that. And then I'm just gonna go through one more time here. All right, I'm gonna do one more. And then before you close that, stick it through that loop there. Oops, sorry. Before you I'm gonna go back and show you. Okay, so you pull that and don't pull that all the way through. Leave that loop and put your needle through it. I'm gonna do it 2 times here and pull it and it'll knot it. And then you're just gonna put this to get your tail through here. Push it down, make sure it's not caught on the other side of the fabric. Push it down, pull it through, and then you can just cut that tail part off. Be careful not to cut your fabric. And that's what it looks like. And then you'll want to cut your tail piece here. So then that's what that looks like. Ooh. So all you can see is that knot. I didn't do that the greatest of job there, but like I said, you can absolutely top stitch this. I've just I think there was one tester that did is what I've seen at least, that did top stitch, and I just know that if you don't top stitch properly, it could mess it up and have it stretched in weird ways. So let's go look at this completed at the table. All right, so you have fully reversible bottoms. You can flip them to black. You have a black top. The tie in the back, it looks a little silly because it's not on anybody, so my ties are a little silly. Or you can flip it and do the geometric print. And it looks a lot better on than flat laid in my opinion, just because it's not top stitched down. But this is super cute. Love this pattern, super simple. Hope I helped you out getting it done. It's a little bit simpler, hopefully. Like I said, if you have trouble still with that invisible stitch, check out tutorials on YouTube for the ladder stitch. That's what I used. And then you can absolutely top stitch, like I said. I would use a zigzag stitch. Just be mindful of your thread choice because you know you are using two different fabrics. But this is a super cute pattern. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you aren't subscribed. We put out a new video every Tuesday. We have been a little behind lately because we did just have our son Sire, and which I'm sure you heard a little bit in this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.
Yo.